in that position where the helper has become the helped and the other has walked away. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I'm sure you got it. I don't need to.
We're talking about men abdicating their roles here. And I think that that's something that I've heard echoed in a lot of places, but the feeling is men, not all men, but there's a feeling that men have abdicated. Now, one of the things about helping is that sometimes let me talk, because I'm talking to girls, right? So I'm going to talk to the women because I'm not talking to men. I'll talk differently to men. But sometimes in our role as being helpers, we can tend to take over. Yeah. And disempower. So part of helping, like there's two ways of helping. I can help you by saying, you're doing a bad job, just give it to me. Let me do it. Or I can say, you are so good at this role. I think the way that you do that, oh wow, that's just so amazing. So I'll just do this bit, you do that because you do it so amazingly. And you know what, we instinctively do this with our children. Like with our kids, we'll instinctively say, like, we're going to do this together. Like, and when he's doing, wow, you're doing such a good job. When your kid is like cooking, you don't go in and say, you made such a mess. You're making such a mess. When you do that, they'll never go back to the kitchen because they're like, oh, get all defensive. And they're like, okay, you do it because you do it perfectly and I do it messily. So they abdicate. So I'm just saying that as we help, we need to be careful that in our helping, we are not stomping all over the place and making the person that we're helping abdicate because they feel like you're making me feel insecure about things. If I give you a live example, I have a friend who got married and she's a powerful type. I think you can sort of guess that I'm probably the same. But she's like really super efficient. So when she got married, she's like, okay, here's the budget, here are the bills, I put this, let's do this, let's do that. And she was paying the bills, she was doing council tax, she was doing the kids, she was doing everything. And she was doing it so efficiently and not allowing any space for her husband to do it. So he began to feel insecure about his role and back off. Because you're overbearing me. And then, however many years down the line, she just got bitter. And she said, why am I doing everything? What are you doing? What's your role? And he's like, you took the role. So when you took everything, I left you. So one of the things I've learned, I'm one of those women, I bet you're one as well. I'm one of those women who everything has to be done today. No, actually yesterday. So when I say to my sons, and I'm in a household of men, when I say the dishes need doing, I am watching. If it comes to 10 and the dishes are not washed, you'll find me at the sink doing the dishes because nobody did them. And then my son will come down and say, Mom, I was going to do them. But if I keep doing that, he abdicates. But if I'm like, you know what, you do such a great job, but like it would be great if you did it a little bit earlier. Or if I just leave him to do it, he gets it done. He might not do it when I want it, but he gets it done. He might not do it how I want it. Like I tidy things in a certain way and I like them in a certain way. He might not do it exactly as I want it, but he gets it done. And the more I trust him, and let me teach you a little trick about the other sex. They love the praise. So I have 3 men in my house. I shower them. I'm like, oh, you cooked so good. You should do it again. Your food was amazing. There wasn't enough salt. Soup was runny. but you did an amazing job. And then they're like, can I do it again? So, help in a way that empowers. That's what I would say.
Amen. Thank you so much. We'll take another question if there's someone who has another question. Okay, please. Just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Vida. My question is linked to this, the issue about Isa, that it's our natural role as women, so we should accept it or embrace it and do the best. And for me, if that's the natural role, then it should feel good doing it. But if it doesn't feel good because, just like Esther said, the dishes have not been done, it's left there because, okay, you don't have to do it, and you leave it like maybe 3 days, and the dishes are still there. Meanwhile, you need them to cook, and it's still lying there, and you are raging from inside because you don't want to take over. So then how, if it's natural that we have to embrace it, then how come that it's not natural for us to embrace that, oh, I'm really loving doing the dishes or cleaning up after other people? That is really, really important. I would like to know.
It's a good question.
Can I add something to the question? I would say what I want to add is a helper always the one that does the dishes? Yeah. Is that the only way we help? Because a lot of times as women, we hear, I'm the help, and then maybe in some homes, the women don't even cook. What is this helping? Is it only about helping at home?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I thought that I alluded to it, but let me make it clear. Isa is a rescuer, but that doesn't mean that you're doing all the domestic duties. That, for me, that's not rescuing. It just means that God has empowered us, that we are rescuers. We actually are. Let me just talk about what she said. Why is it not natural? How many of you know that we are living in a fallen state? Right? We are in a fallen state. So there's a lot about us as men, us or women, male or female. There's a lot that we are doing now that's because of sin and fallen nature, rather than what God designed us to be. Happiness, or whatever, how we call it happiness. Sometimes happiness, what you're talking about is comfort. You're looking for comfort. But sometimes the things of God seem to be contrary to your nature because they're contrary to your sinful nature. But when we align ourselves with God's nature, we find, like, women are powerful wherever you put them. And, like, it doesn't matter. I know many homes where you don't do the chores. In my family, I'm powerful, but I don't do the chores. Not really. We share them with everybody. But has it always been like that? Maybe not. Do I notice things that other people are not noticing? Yes. So I might notice something and say, guys, we need to do this. And then we do it as a team. But I think that a lot of the friction of that is from something else that's from the fall. So it's either from a lack of communication or something has broken down in the dynamics. And that's why we're looking at a broken situation. But the God situation doesn't have any breaking in it. And you will find that we team up very well together. And we still are able to be the rescuer, to be the strong one. But it doesn't mean that we do all the tasks in the house. I think household tasks is about you communicating well with your spouse and your children.
Thank you. Was it answered? Do you feel like you... Okay. So, okay, let me ask a follow-up question. If it doesn't come naturally to you to clean the house and wash the dishes and do all of these things, what can you do? What would be the practical way to undo that? Let's say the wife doesn't come naturally to wash the dishes, and the husband too is like, dishes. So, and we can't leave them for 1 week to be there.
Of course you can't.
What would be the practical? Because I think sometimes women...
The practical thing...
The weight of, like, I have to do this, and it has to be done, and I'm the only one.
Yeah. The practical thing is to have a timetable, talk about it. and come up with an agreement. The reason why it's at a stalemate is someone's not communicating. Yeah.
So communication is key to
Yeah.
get the dishes out of the way and say, I don't like doing dishes. Somebody's got to do them. And then we share. I don't like ironing. I hate it. So my husband does that.
Me too.
And I just wear the clothes. So, and then I can do something else. So, I mean, communication,
Yeah.
that's what
I
we're
think
taking from
family life generally is about communication. A lot of it is about communication and being a team. And where the fall comes in is that we find difficulties in communication. And rather than like trying to do teamwork, it's the same at work as it is in the family. You have to find roles, and so you split roles. But because there's tension, when there's tension, then the roles become difficult to handle, and that's where the problems come from. But yeah, teamwork, talking together. If you're talking together and it's not going anywhere, Isa, praise.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. You can come and ask here. Tell us your name.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'm so glad to be here today. My question, because Madam, you say that the communication is the right key for good relationship in the family and out of family. But what we can do, I'm sure that every woman here invests a lot in communication, in their relationship with their father, husband, mother-in-law, especially. But sometimes it's not working. What I mean is you have a problem with your father since you're a kid. When you grew up already, when you're a big girl, you start dating men. You see that all those men who you dating, they are similar.
Yeah.
Then you try to find the reason why they're similar. Then you go back to your childhood, and this reminds you how your father treated you. Then you go to your father and you try to talk with him, try to find the reason why he acts with you in this way. And bam, he doesn't want to talk. He ignores you, probably because he has too big ego, or probably he doesn't have time for you. What we should do in this situation? Thank you very much.
That's a good question. Really good. Really good observations and a question. What you're talking about is the roots of some of the things that we do. So I spoke about, I kind of alluded to, we are fallen. We are a fallen people. And God is a God of redemption, restoration, right? So when in our families, we all have a little bit of brokenness, some more than others. So some of that brokenness comes into our relationships. And so we're carrying the brokenness into our homes. What do we do? How do we get free of that chain? Now, I believe that God is a healer. I don't just believe it, I have experienced healing. And I've seen God healing parts of myself which were damaged very young. And one of the places that I was very injured was rejection. But it was from an aunt that I can't speak to her about it. Because I know that it would be more negative than positive if I brought it up. But it hasn't stopped God from healing me. Because God's healing is not dependent on other people. God will give you an opportunity to right some wrongs, like I did speak to some certain members of the family about the things that injured me, because I felt I had to be led by God in it. Because sometimes in coming to try to get your healing, you want to be careful that you're not injuring everybody else in the process. So it takes wisdom. But God does not, it doesn't mean that God is now unable to heal you because of the third party. God can heal you all by himself. And in the right time, he will produce the right environment, and he will tell you, now is the time to say something from a healed place. Yeah? So God provides that time. I don't know when that opportunity will come, but I no longer have the ill feelings that I associated with that relationship. I have released it in my heart, and I've been healed. So, yeah, it's very true that we carry on, and it's important that we come to Jesus and allow Jesus to heal those areas. In the same way, in your family, if the communication thing is not working, and it's not because you're being difficult, but it's maybe because there's some issues on the other side, I kid you not, there is power in prayer. Pray, and God will deal with the situation. And you say, Pastor Grace, I have prayed. And I'll say to you, pray some more. Pray until the wall comes down. Pray until the situation changes. Pray until the environment in your home changes. God is a faithful God.
Amen. Thank you so much. We'll take one last question. One last question, and then, yeah, please.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Good day, everyone. I'm Esther. I just want to ask a question about, like what you said in your preaching, that you like being in your space. You know, what about when you get married to someone that, just saying it, like example, the man need a space, like being so private, and maybe when the wife is trying to communicate with him, what's the problem? You know, it's like drawing back, you know. Maybe the wife is being transparent, but the husband, no. What to do, you know? How to communicate with that kind of person. Because there's a friend that she has been married for long, but for some time now, she has been having this problem with the husband, you know. Sometimes, you know, we women, we do talk together, you know. So she was like, this man, he's too private. Sometimes he always needs his privacy. I went to him and talked to him sometimes, but he doesn't really give me, I don't really know what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
That man might be going through some stress, or, you know, at times we can also help, but where they are being close is difficult then.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. Thank you for your question.
And a huge topic. I think there are two things to look at in the question. Some people are quiet because they're introverts. Like, we're all there. There's some of us who are introverts and some of us who are extroverts. So an introvert gets their energy from kind of withdrawing and being on their own. And however healed I am by God, I remain an introvert, right? But there's no injury in it. So I might replenish by being on my own. My son is an extrovert, extrovert. Like, he's in the party, he's like, you know, like he has to be amongst people. And if I lived his life, I would be exhausted. I need me my space sometimes. So there is that. There is the healthy, you are who you are. There's that healthy thing. But then there is also becoming closed in because of injury. That's another thing. So there are people that are introverts and then go further in because of injury or things that have happened to them that they feel unsafe. That's issue number 2. Issue number 3 is called the male race. The male race is not like you. They're not like us. They need what we have come to call cave time. How many of you have heard of cave time? Right? So they do need time when they can just be. And they're not doing anything. And you, like, there's a little comic strip that says, what are you doing? Nothing. What do you want to do? Nothing. What are you thinking about? Nothing. And they just want to do Yeah, nothing. So when you're dealing with this person, you've got to think, what am I dealing with? Am I trying to enter his cave time? Which I need to let him have the cave time. We had a cave time talk in our couples meeting, and the men were talking about how refreshed they are after they've been allowed to have some cave time. And I've learned, like I was one of those people. Is there a crisis? Why are we not talking? Why are you so quiet? And I learned that, sometimes he just needs to go and be. And he comes back, and he comes back fresh. And he comes back renewed. So you have to learn, don't be in his cave time. If he's trying to take cave time and you're all over his cave time, he will resent it. Or he'll be less than what he wants to be. If he's an introvert, he needs that space to withdraw. But if it's because of injury, then we need to work on something. So you need, it's not one answer fits all. It's what is the issue? And it takes the wisdom of God. We asked God for wisdom. What should I be doing? Number 2, don't panic. Just have faith that God is in this relationship here and that this man actually loves you. Because sometimes we're panicking because we're like, oh, he's not talking. That means he doesn't love me. Oh dear, end of the world. It escalates from 0 to 100 in just minutes. But sometimes you need to just sit back and ask, Holy Spirit, what is this? What am I dealing with? And I think that with coaxing, sometimes people come out of their shell because they feel comfortable with you. So if you create a comfortable environment, people do come out of their shell. Yeah, so one of these is going to be the answer. Sorry, there's no one answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we do that? I can do this all day. Just stand here, ask questions, and comment. I've embraced that about myself. But we need to take a break and refresh, have our own. Maybe men like cave time, women, we like to eat and have fun and talk. So the talking continues, but it continues outside the doors. We have some refreshments. You go out and get something to eat and load up on some calories and some energy, and then we come back and continue this together. Thank you so much.